Hello viewers, today I want to give you an overview of the government assistance available for New York City landlords and tenants. The federal government has established the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERAP, which assists eligible households that have experienced financial hardship due to COVID-19 and are at the risk of homelessness or housing instability. Our local state government has also approved some additional funds for this program, and in addition to those from the federal government, and now the program is open. I have heard that many landlords do not want to take advantage of the assistance offered, but as a New York City landlord, I believe it is in our best interest to do so. Hello everyone, this is Marcia Melendez, your friendly Brooklyn realtor, offering you valuable information about real estate, business, and of course, all things Brooklyn. Please remember to subscribe, and remember, I am not a lawyer, accountant, or financial advisor, and the information given here is from my own research and based on my own opinions and experience. Just so you know, the New York State Legislature has extended the COVID eviction moratoriums until January of 2022. January 15th, 2022. One good thing for landlords is that tenants now have to provide evidence to the court that they have actually experienced a COVID-related hardship. Previously, all they had to do was to sign a declaration form stating that they had experienced hardship, but they did not have to provide any proof. Now with the new extension, they also have to provide proof that this is so. Just to give you a little background on this whole topic of small landlords, the pandemic has proved to be disastrous to many tenants and especially the small landlords. The number of small property owners in our city is large, if a little unclear, to quantify. By one estimate, small landlords owning up to 5 properties account for 30% of the city's housing stock. This is more like 50% if you include medium-sized owners of buildings with up to 20 properties. The total is not easy to clarify. Many two-family homes do not report their rental units to the city, and they account for a large number of landlords, especially in Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. The New York City Rent Stabilization Association says that 70% of its landlord members own just 1 or 2 buildings and account for 2/3 of the city's rent-regulated units. I wanted to put these numbers out there because many tenant groups have called for canceling rent. Some renters basically act as if all landlords are super rich and don't need the money owed to them, or that they can afford to go indefinitely without receiving their tenants' rent payments. This is not true. My husband and I are small landlords and need the monthly payments to pay our mortgages, our taxes, the utilities, and building maintenance. During the past year, we have exhausted our personal savings trying to maintain our rental properties after some tenants have just stopped paying rent. Yes, many people have lost their job and are definitely suffering. I know some people in my own family. It's not an easy situation, but some of our tenants are working, or receiving monthly income. I just found out that one of my tenants gets SSI every month, yet she still has not paid her rent. What's that all about? This video is not about New York City's unfair treatment of landlords. But if you live and own property in New York City, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It does seem as if tenants have the upper hand, and there are much fewer rights and protections for landlords than there are for tenants. In responding to the COVID crisis, we shouldn't forget or unfairly burden all of the small property owners who are themselves struggling to pay bills and make ends meet. Now that I've gotten that off my chest, we can continue discussing ERAP. The grants will pay up to 12 months rent for families earning less than 80% of the area's median income. We've discussed the AMI before, who can demonstrate that they have lost their jobs due to COVID-19. We spoke about the AMI in previous videos. Please go back and watch them when you get a chance. There's lots of good information there. In New York City, the AMI is just over 95,000, so it should cover a large number of workers, especially those who work in the service industry and who have really suffered more job losses than those that are administrators who have been able to work from home. You know, the service industry have really suffered. The state estimates that as many as 2,000 households statewide could benefit from ERAP. Unemployed residents or those who earn less than 30% of the AMI. In New York City, that number is $32,220 for a family of three. These people have been given priority to apply. To help undocumented New Yorkers and other tenants may be able to self-certify their information. That's key in a city like New York. You know, we have a lot of undocumented workers here. And it is intended to cover the entire amount owed, though many tenants have not paid rent for 18 months. You know, 2 of our tenants actually owe back rent for more than 18 months. So landlords will still not be made whole, but it will be better than nothing. This is an overview of the benefits under the program. The grants will cover up to 12 months of rental arrear payments for rents accrued on or after March 13th, 2020. Also, up to 3 months of additional rental assistance if the household is expected to spend 30% or more of their gross monthly income to pay for rent. And you know, in New York City, a lot of us do pay more than 30% of our income for rent. They'll also pay up to 12 months of electric or gas utility arrear that have been accrued on or after March 13th, 2020. Payments will be made directly to the landlord or property owner and to the utility companies on behalf of the tenant. Thank goodness for that. Tenant applicants will be notified of the amounts paid on their behalf. If a landlord is difficult to locate or does not otherwise provide the information needed to complete their portion of the application, the funds will be held for up to 180 days to allow sufficient time to locate the landlord and collect the required information, as well as to provide tenant protections and maximize landlord participation. For tenants, it is helpful to do the following. Communicate with your landlord that you have applied for assistance. Let your landlord know that they will need to provide a W-9 and will need to communicate with the review agency regarding receiving the payment. Keep orderly records of all your income. And finally, tenants should respond promptly when the review agency reaches out to them about the application. For landlords, it is helpful to do the following. Communicate with your tenants that you have applied for assistance on their behalf. Let your tenants know that they will need to provide income documentation. Keep orderly records of all rent payments received. And you also need to respond promptly when the review agency reaches out to verify the application details. You know, my concern as a landlord is that many residents are already stressed out trying to care for their families with reduced or no income, and they may not see the urgency in filling out the application for back rent if there is no present risk of them being evicted. Right now, the state has extended the eviction moratorium for evictions until January 2022. I said that before, but I'm also concerned that many tenants are not that tech savvy in order to complete the application online, which is the only way to access it as of now. But the good thing about New York City is that we do have legal aid and many tenant advocacy groups, which will help tenants to prepare the forms that they need and get the application process started. There is a landlord application and a tenant application, and both have to be completed in order for the funding to be approved. So the tenant and the lord need to cooperate in order to get access to the funds. If you are a landlord and your tenant starts the application first, you will need their name, date of birth, and their application number from the website in order to complete your portion of the application, and so that both applications can be linked together in the system. For landlords, our portion of the application is simple to complete once you have the back rent owed documented. The good thing for landlords is that, as far as I can tell, you do not have to provide your tax records as part of the application process. I completed it online, and the landlord portion was basically 2 pages, a form to confirm the total amount of money that is owed, and a page for your certification. You can call New York State ERAP if you run into any difficulties at 844-691-7368. They are very helpful, and the wait times were minimal. In my opinion, this program can only help both landlords and tenants. It will give tenants a chance to pay back their rent and utilities that are owed and give them some financial peace of mind. And it could also serve as a partial defense if their eviction case actually makes it to landlord-tenant court. From what I understand right now, the cases where the aid is approved and provided to landlords will not be adjudicated as such in landlord-tenant court. For landlords, it is also a no-brainer to apply. Besides being able to recoup some of the money lost for back rents, you also do not have to worry that once your case makes it to court, despite all the delays by our state legislature, these cases all have to be adjudicated sooner or later. But once you go to court, your tenant cannot say, I tried to pay my rent through the program, but the landlord did not cooperate. So that's why they didn't receive it. Another good thing to remember for landlords is that although you cannot raise a tenant's rent for up to 1 year after you have received money from this program, you can still evict them in the future if they fall behind with future rent payments. So to me, it's a no-brainer that we should apply for it. If you're a small landlord, you should apply for the program. And if you're a tenant, definitely you should apply also. Until the next time.